Okay, everybody, we are, it is right at 12 o'clock, so we are going to go ahead and get started. We are so happy that you were able to join us today for our webinar, for the Global Health webinar. My name is Emily Lakemaker, and I'm the Associate Director of Recruitment and Student Life here at the Rollins School of Public Health. Just a couple of logistics up at the top. We are recording this, and we get this posted on our YouTube channel, usually within 3 to 5 business days of the live event. And I'll be sending out the link to that to everyone that's registered once we get it up and posted. So if you don't catch everything today, or if you have to leave halfway through, don't worry, you can go back and watch it, or share it with friends that you know that may be interested. For those of you that may have questions, which we hope you do, really the main point of this whole presentation is to be able to engage directly with you and help answer any questions you may have. Up in the upper right screen, right hand of your screen, you can see where my cursor is. You should see a section for questions. So feel free to type those in throughout the time that we're doing our presentation. We're going to go through our PowerPoint first and then open it up to questions at the end of the presentation. We'll read them aloud and go through our student panelists and give them time to answer and make sure we can get through as many as possible in the hour that we have allotted. So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and get started and turn it into introductions with my colleagues and students that are here with us today.
Hello all, my name is Teresa Nash and I am one of the 2 academic advisors in the Global Health Department. I've been with the Global Health Department for the last 15 years, so I am very aware of what goes on in the department. I also am very fond of the department. I'm joined today by 4 students representing each of our 4 concentrations, and they're really the stars of the show. In a little bit, I'm going to have them introduce themselves, but I am joined by Philip Opung. He's in our infectious disease track. Lucas Gosting, and he is in our public nutrition track. Shreya Kathari, and she is in our community health and development track, as well as John Mead, who's in our sexual and reproductive health and population studies track. You may notice that 3 out of the 4 students are guys, and we were laughing about that this morning because our population, as you'll see from our first slide, we've got 80% women and 20% men, so don't get too excited and think that this program is flipped. It really isn't. We just had a wonderful volunteers come from our male students for this event. So I'm going to go ahead and just run through some PowerPoints and give you a basic overview of the department. And then we're going to have our students chime in and talk to you a little bit about their experience while they've been at Rollins. These are all second-year students, so they are in the final year of their program. They're all fast at work on theses, so I really appreciate them taking time out of their very crazy schedule right now to join us today. They are anxiously awaiting your questions, so please, no question is too silly. We really hope to engage very much with you through this process. All right, wanted to tell you a little bit about who we are in the Hubert Department of Global Health. We have a huge faculty with 40 having primary faculty appointment in the Global Health Department. We have over 120 adjuncts, and adjuncts are so critical for you guys. Adjuncts often, many of our adjuncts have CDC appointments where their main job is at CDC, and they just advise, mentor, work with you all on research projects, and students utilize adjunct faculty from everything to looking for a practicum opportunity, looking for thesis advisement. They teach in our classes, they guest lecture, so that's a great opportunity for you to get to know people in the greater Atlanta public health field. Students snapshot. Currently we have 209 students in our program, about half our first years, half our second years, and we've got 5 part-time students, so it is possible to complete this program part-time, but it's certainly not the norm. We don't have evening classes, so that makes it pretty tough. Our average age of students is 27, and we've got a broad span from 21 to 45. As I said earlier, 80% of our students are female, and that's pretty standard for public health programs. 20% are male, but we are lucky enough to have 3 of our 4 students today are guys, so I'm pretty excited about that. 24% of our students are international. A great percent of our faculty are international. We really span all corners of the globe, and our faculty are also all research faculty, and they're all involved with research projects all over the world. So you know what that means for you? It means that you've got a wide span of research opportunities to participate in with our faculty providing mentorship. And that really is a key point of our program. We currently have 5 fellowship programs in the department. Humphrey Fellows, we've got a Humanitarian Emergencies Fellowship, King Abdullah Fellowship Program from Saudi Arabia, Fogey, and Fagerty Fellows. So those are our fellowships, and I just wanted to let you know what that means is you've got a lot of mid-career professionals in the classroom with you, and I think our students will probably mention later how critical that can be when you're working in small groups and you've got people that have done global public health work for years as part of your mentorship. All right, so I just wanted to focus on the department kind of in detail for a minute. Currently, we have 81 global health courses. We have a lot of courses. I think that's a lion's share. Certainly, it's more courses than any other department here at Rollins, and it really reflects the fact that our faculty research areas just span all over. Our program really is a methods-heavy program, so we focus very much on the skill set that you're going to need in order to do well in your career. We'll talk plenty about that shortly. Practicum. The majority of our students want to have a practicum experience in a low resource or a country, but certainly a good number of our students also choose to work here within the United States. I've put just a sampling of the countries that our students have completed practicums in the last couple of years below, so take a look at that. Again, we've got plenty of connections here within the United States, so if you're interested in doing a practicum with CDC, for instance, that's very realistic. The real award program is probably a program most of you are interested in. It's kind of like our work-study program, but it's funded by the school as opposed to the government. 83% of our real awardees had public health positions in spring of 17. So it is an award that you apply through FAFSA, and it's gift money, so it's a great award. But what it does mostly is it opens doors for you that wouldn't already be open. So for instance, CDC can only hire people who have that award. So if you haven't yet turned in your FAFSA, I'm going to encourage you to do that. Certainly that's critical because this gift money runs out first, as you know. So if you haven't done that FAFSA, get on it and get it done. It really will translate into dollars and cents shortly for you. Okay, wanted to just reference our employment statistics. This is from the May of 16 graduating class, just to give you an idea of the breakdown of where people go when they leave our department. That class, we had 27% of students going into nonprofits, both within the United States and abroad. We had 25% go to work for the government, and most of those were CDC. 19% worked in hospital or healthcare delivery facilities. 19% worked in the university doing research. 2% went into private practice, and some of those may be MDs who had a previous degree. And then proprietary organizations, we had 2%, and other is 4%. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the requirements of our program as well as our 4 concentrations. So as you probably have already figured out, the MPH program here is a 42 credit hour degree program. Now I wanted to tell you a secret. We charge per semester as opposed to per credit hour. And how that translates for students is that you can really stretch your tuition dollar by registering for more than the requisite 12 credit hours. You know, for our program, to even out to 42 credit hours, you'd be taking 12 in the fall, 12 in the spring, and then year 2 you drop down to 9 and 9. And I'll check in with my students here in a minute, but I bet not one of them have limited themselves to those credits. We find that students graduate with an average of 52 credits. You're able to complete concentrations, certificates, and really go deep in your methods coursework for the same tuition dollar. So that really is an important thing as you're considering schools. You want to know how they charge tuition because it really is a hidden benefit to be able to, you know, earn more specialization while you're here. Everybody's required to do a practicum. It's a 200 to 400 hour event. It usually happens in the summer between years 1 and 2 for the Global Health Department, and that's simply because the majority of our students want to go into a low resource country in order to do their field work. And we also require a thesis project. So Departments deal with that differently. Our department and our faculty believe that it is the gold standard to write a research thesis, and our alumni really state that the thesis project is one of the most defining projects that they complete during their 2 years here. So we're not likely to get rid of that project anytime soon. And as I mentioned earlier, we are very methods and skill focused. In this department, we deal with methods a little bit differently because our students come from all over, and they also have very different career plans. So we require that students take 9 credits of skill-based coursework. However, our average student realizes how important that is, and students are graduating with 20+ methods credits. So those are classes like advanced EPI, advanced bios, qualitative research, survey design, and we'll talk about others later. In the Global Health Department, we have 4 areas of concentration. So at application, you're going to suggest that you're interested in either infectious disease, sexual and reproductive health and population studies, community health and development, or public health nutrition. Now don't worry, because once you get here, you actually have until the end of your first semester to declare your concentration, so there'll be plenty of time to really vet that with your peers and with faculty prior to committing to one of those 4 concentrations. Okay, I mentioned methods earlier. I thought I'd just name a few of the sought-after method skills that students gain while they're here. Certainly our students are all getting quantitative and qualitative research skills, so they're going heavy with EPI, bios, and qualitative research. Our students, the vast majority, are now taking monitoring and evaluation because evaluation skills are so important. You got to know how to draw up a survey, so students take survey research design, public health surveillance. As I said earlier, advanced EPI and bios classes, you can go as deep as you want. At a minimum, our students take a 2nd level of bios, and most of them take many applied EPI courses while they're here. We've got program management courses that we offer, GIS, Geographical Information Systems, a knowledge translation class, which talks about translating research into practice, and that's a really critical skill. We offer scientific writing and applied laboratory skills, along with a lot of other skill-based courses. These are the most popular that many of our students complete while they're here. Okay, this is one of the most exciting parts of the program. Rollins offers 9 certificate programs. I've only highlighted 8 here because the 9th one is one that our students aren't usually interested in. But as I said earlier, because of our tuition structure, you have an opportunity to complete these certificate programs concurrent to completing your MPH, and you don't pay any extra tuition. So it's really a great way to specialize. The programs that we have, you can see them here. Humanitarian Emergencies is a very popular one, as is our WASH certificate, Socio-Contextual Determinants of Health, Maternal and Child Health. All of those 4 are very, very sought after certificates. Additionally, we offer certificates in human rights, injury and violence prevention, mental health, and religious health. Religion and health talks about the intersection between public health and religious organizations throughout the world. If you're interested in those certificates, just take a look on our website and you'll find much more information. Also at orientation, we have sessions for each of the certificates, so you have a chance to preview those before you decide which one you might want to complete. All right, I thought I'd highlight a student for you because this student, it kind of ties everything I'm talking about together. So the student is Skander Zah. He's a student of mine. He's about to graduate. And here at Rollins, we have 2 different kinds of funding that most students apply for to help support their summer research projects. Global Field Experience is one fund, and then the Global Health Initiative is another fund. So Skander was interested in going to work at the Syrian border with WHO. He applied for and received Global Field Experience funding. So last summer he went to Turkey, and he was right at the Syrian border, and he did work with WHO in emergency response to northern Syria. Now Skander, upon admission, decided he was interested in the Complex Humanitarian Emergency Certificate Program. He applied and was accepted to that program. And I want to highlight that program for just a minute because I know there's a lot of interest in it. That program is in existence because we happen to have the good fortune to be next to CDC. There is a branch at CDC that responds to complex humanitarian emergencies throughout the world, and they came to us about 5 years ago and wanted to roll out a certificate program here at Rollins. So it is only with their support that we're able to offer the certificate program. And their scientists teach these courses, they mentor the students through practicum, and they work with you on thesis. It is a pipeline, if you will, to find people that are interested in working in complex humanitarian emergencies, giving them some advanced training and getting them out in the field. So this is a program that Skander did participate in. So he went to Turkey to work with WHO, and he basically worked on two things. He wrote the first morbidity and mortality report for the region since the refugee crisis began. And he also worked with WHO to strengthen their current surveillance tools. So those are his two deliverables for the summer. And consequently, his thesis topic that he's finishing up right now is a mental health survey of Syrian refugees resettled in Atlanta, because there is a huge resettlement community of refugees here in the Atlanta area and Clarkston, and you certainly have access to that community to work with them on your projects. All right, now we're to the point where all of you have been waiting. These are our 4 students. As I said earlier, we've got Philip, Lucas, Shreya, and John. I am going to have each of them introduce themselves and just tell you a little bit about themselves, and then we'll get started with your questions. So please do start writing your questions now so that we can have plenty of things to interact with you on. And I am going to toss the baton to Philip.
All right. Hi, everyone. I am Philip Opon. I'm from Ghana, and I'm a physician and by training, and I am a second-year student in the Global Health Department with a concentration in infectious disease, and I have a special interest in drug-resistant tuberculosis. I'm happy to kind of talk to you all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lucas. I'm in the Public Health Nutrition concentration. I'm also a Maternal and Child Health Fellow, which is a part of the Maternal and Child Health Certificate. I am working with some faculty on infant and young child feeding in Bihar, India currently, and I'm happy to talk to you about anything nutrition.
Hello everybody, I'm Shreya Kothari. I am a second-year global health student concentrating in community health and development. I am from India, and I am currently TAing for a class for transforming public health surveillance, and I have worked specifically in Sierra Leone and a couple of projects in Atlanta, and I'm happy to speak about my experiences here as an international student and otherwise as well.
Hey guys, my name is John. I'm also a second-year MPH student in the Global Health Department with a concentration in sexual and reproductive health and population studies. Quite a mouthful. I'm also getting the certificate on socio-contextual determinants of health, so I could talk about that. And my research interests are sexual minorities and HIV prevention. This summer I went to Cape Town to work with male sex workers and do a qualitative study over there. So I could talk about practicum funding streams, where to get the money. So there you go. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there slides after this, or open up for questions?
We're good.
All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and open it up for questions. So if you have any, please be sure that you're typing them into the questions box up at the top right hand of the corner. We don't have any right now, but I'm sure that you guys are all busy typing those in. This is a great opportunity to get to speak directly to our students that are here. In the meantime, while you guys are typing these in, I do want to do a quick plug for Visit Emory, which is our admitted student event that happens March 30th and 31st. And for those of you that are admitted, then you guys will be getting an email from the admissions office with information on how to access our admitted student portal, which includes all the details, additional details about Visit Emory. So we've got our first question up from Mariama, and she's asking, being a global health student, are you seeking jobs domestically or internationally? I assume she's meaning upon graduation. So we're going to go around the table and you guys can kind of talk about your job search, because you're all second years here. Yeah.
So currently I am looking for anywhere that could take me. But I've done a lot of international things in South America, the African continent. So I'm kind of more looking for NGOs here based domestically. And also I'm from New York City, so I'm trying to go back to New York. And there's a lot of NGOs And also the New York City Department of Health is one of the biggest and best health departments in the country. So, and as we know, New York City is a melting pot with have refugees, immigrants, and different subpopulations. So that's kind of like working on the global scale in one big city. So that's kind of what I'm looking at currently.
This is Shreya here. I am looking to settle down in Atlanta after I graduate. I'm married and I'm settled here. And I'm looking at jobs to start off as a research or a project coordinator and then eventually become a project manager. So I'm open to jobs right now. But yes, answering that question, I'm looking for a job domestically.
Yeah, everyone, this is Philip here. I think for now, I hope to combine medical practice with public health, just have the two in one. So for now, I'm looking to go into fellowships at the CDC or maybe clinical research coordinator jobs, and later, I try to juggle the two. So that is for now.
I didn't realize how similar we all were, but I am looking at jobs domestically, and I've applied to Emory's Nutrition Health Sciences PhD program, so I'm kind of waiting to hear back from that and applying to some fellowships with the CDC. We're also located very close to CARE's headquarters here in Atlanta, so I've applied to a couple of jobs with them. There would be like 30% travel.
I wanted to just address that about 60% of our students have some travel involved with their domestic career. So, but our program is skill focused, and we do that on purpose because if you're going deep in your skills, taking bios and epi and qualitative and other courses, you really are marketable both here within the United States or abroad. So we're preparing you for a career with skills that'll serve you well, whether you choose to work primarily in the U.S. with some travel, primarily overseas with some travel. We're really equipping you for both scenarios.
So we had another question come in. This one got emailed into me. Apparently Courtney was having some issues with the webinar system itself, but Courtney, hopefully you're still on, and her question was how long it takes to complete their certificate programs, and if people can do more than one in their time here.
I can speak to that because I'm in the maternal and child health certificate, which is one of the two competitive ones. The CHE certificate is also competitive. I have known people to do actually both of those, which are the two most involved of them, so it's definitely possible. As part of the maternal and child health certificate, you have 12 credit hours minimum that you have to complete in the coursework. Like Teresa said earlier, you only have 42 required for the program, so there's plenty of room in our schedules to throw in those certificate courses, and they really complement well with your methods courses.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm part of the social contextual determinants of health, which is one of the certificate programs that are not as competitive as maternal child health and complex humanitarian emergencies. So the requirements for that is basically you have to attend 2 colloquia every semester and 2 journal clubs and take 1 2-credit social epidemiology class, and then you have your certificate. So I really encourage it because public health is obviously very connected into the social, religion, race, socioeconomic status, and all of our work, if we want to work in low resource settings, have to take all of those social factors into play. So it's a really great certificate program, and there's some really great speakers that come in.
All right, so Mariama is asking, what is the best part about your concentration and the global health departments?
Yeah, I think it depends on what you want, but I think the global health department is kind of like is I think I couldn't have gone into any other department, than the global health department, because it's kind of like flexible. It depends on your interest, like in life and what you want to do. And I think I wouldn't say one. We have the infectious disease. We have public nutrition. We have community health and development, and the sexual and reproductive health and population studies. And I think each and every one of them comes with its unique characteristics and features and all of that. So it depends on what you as an individual, where your interest lies, and what you want to do and what you want to achieve in life. So
I also would say that I think students often stress about what concentration to choose. And we maintain, of course, that they're not really siloed, right? So many faculty teach in more than one concentration. It's hard to think about community health and development without thinking about issues of nutrition, infectious disease, sexual and reproductive health. So these are not siloed concentrations. They simply give you the opportunity to go deeper in that one area. So you can't complete 2 concentrations. We get asked that often. But they're not siloed, and most of you are crossing over concentrations to choose coursework.
I would also, this is Shreya here, and I would also like to add that besides just taking courses at the public health school, people have also taken courses in media, a dance or a physical education class at the business school, or even classes at the chemistry school. So I just feel you're not restricted to one department. You can, it's very diverse. And something I really appreciate about my department is the faculty and people that I'm surrounded by. They're amazing over here. They're always approachable, they're responsive to emails, and they really care about your students.
And I would also add that everyone is really connected here. So if you have an idea of a project, like for me, my practicum, I wanted to work with male sex workers because that's a subpopulation that is usually not ignored but not researched enough, and always lumped in with female sex workers and transgender. So I just wanted to focus on male sex workers. So and no one at Emory currently is working on male sex workers. So in a global context, so I went to a professor and he had connections with people in South Africa and hooked me up with a practicum experience with only male sex workers. So even though there might not be someone here that does exactly what you want to do, it is possible to find someone, yeah.
Okay, let's see. Kingsley is asking about financial aid for international students. Do international students qualify for grants? So as an international student, if you got your application in and as a domestic student, any students that got their application in by the priority deadline of January 5th are automatically considered for our merit-based awards. Outside of that, international students are eligible for REAL starting in your second semester, and that is an internal form that you would fill out here once you're here as a student in your first semester. We also encourage all students, international and domestic, to look into external funding opportunities. We have some of those listed on our website, and we discussed some of those in length in our financial aid webinar that we hosted yesterday, and that will be up on our YouTube channel here within the next 3 to 5 business days, along with this one as well. And I know we have some international students on the webinar. Do you guys have any insight or any resources that you'd like to share?
I personally had a very difficult time looking for funding over here because as an international student, the US government doesn't, you're not eligible to get funds or loans from here. You have to get it from your home country.
Yeah, so I think basically you have to come in, like you have to get a sort of support. If you don't get a merit award, you have to get some sort of support, maybe from your home country or from your personal kind of like funds. But once you get here, I think from the second semester, things get a little bit easier with living allowances and all of that, because you get to apply for the REAL, and then if you get a job, you get an experience at the same time, get something to keep you going. So I think that is it.
All right, Mariama is asking, what is something you wish you know now that you wish you knew when coming into the program, before coming into the program?
Okay, I'd like to speak as an international student. This has been a completely different and amazing experience for me. I didn't know how to TA for a class. I thought the job would be listed or a professor approaches you if you are interested, but I feel over here now I know if you like a subject and you want to gain experience and become qualified with that subject, you have to approach a professor that can I be a TA for this class. So that is one thing I would suggest.
I wish I had known my mentors before I came in. It's been a great experience getting to know them. I feel like I was just lucky to get to know them and kind of talk to them. So research all the faculty, including the adjunct faculty that we have here in the Global Health Department, as you're deciding before you come to orientation, so you know who to request as a mentor, because those people will really lead into your thesis, into practicum opportunity maybe, and then if you want to pursue further studies, they're great people to have.
All right. Frederick is asking, what are some of the specific requirements and experiences for admission into the certificate programs?
I can speak to that because I'm very involved with the Complex Humanitarian Emergency Certificate Program. There are really only 2 certificate programs that are competitive, if you will, and those, as John said earlier, are the Maternal and Child Health Certificate and the Complex Humanitarian Emergency Certificate. All of the others are open, and just so you meet the requirements, you will be conferred the certificate when you graduate. And I also want, so it doesn't matter, you have to have an interest in the area is the short answer to that. Now for maternal and child health and complex emergencies, they are only competitive because of the resources that it takes to run the certificate. So as I mentioned with CHE, it's kind of a pipeline program, and all of our expertise is based on the branch at CDC who teaches the courses. So they've told us they can only mentor around 25 students a year. So the cohort of incoming students in that certificate is 25. And similarly, I think maternal and child health is 20. So as far as community health and development, they are looking for people, this is tough work, so they're looking for people that already have had relevant experiences so they know how tough the work is. So if you've not done anything relevant, if you've not worked with either refugees or worked in a low resource country, or maybe you did Peace Corps, you will have to have done something that is relevant. And then they're very interested in students that are planning on going very methods heavy. So students that really want to take advanced epi and bios and qualitative research, because everything they do has to be evidence-based. So it's really important to be able to participate and understand research. So that's the case with community health and development. Can you speak to maternal and child health?
Maternal and child health is sponsored by a HRSA grant from the Maternal and Child Health Bureau. So that also kind of constrains what they can do as far as funding goes. We have faculty from each of the departments here at Rollins, including global health. So that sort of lets you expand your network a little bit beyond global health. It is administered through the EPI department. So we're encouraged to take all of those epidemiology courses, but there are no EPI courses actually required. The only required courses are the ones that are taught by those 4 professors that are the core staff of the MCH certificate. Some of you may have indicated that you were interested in the certificate in the application. That is now a requirement for the 4 scholarships that they offer through the certificate. So within the 20, they will award 4 fellowships as a part of the certificate as well.
Thank you.
Laura is asking, I'm interested in visiting RSPH on February 20th. Is there someone I can meet with to take a tour and answer some additional questions? So Laura, on our admissions homepage, we have all the information needed of how to, what events are coming up on campus. We do tours 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And once a month, we have what we call our admissions information session. And that one in February is Friday, February 24th. So these are all great avenues to come and learn more about the school. They're designed, you can kind of tailor it based on what you're looking for. If you're an admitted student, I would highly, highly recommend trying to plan your travel around Visit Emory, which again is March 30th and 31st, with additional details on our admitted student portal, which if you just recently got your acceptance on Opus, that email with information on how to access will be going out this week. Unfortunately, with our data management system, those aren't as synced up as we would like, but we do have information on our portal about that. It's a 2-day kind of just public health extravaganza. You get to visit classes, you go to student panels, you meet with your department, you meet faculty. We have a research and opportunities fair. Our student organizations host social events. We have a reception with our faculty and our deans. So it's really the best way to see what Rollins has to offer as an admitted student. Prospective students are always free to come to the events that are included on our admissions homepage.
I wanted to chime in here and let you know that I am one of 2 academic advisors in the department. If we could scroll to the next PowerPoint slide. Yeah. My name is Teresa Nash, but my colleague Flavia Travin Both of us are willing and happy to meet with you. You'll find our contact information there. So if you'd like to meet with an advisor in the department during your visit, please reach out to us. Similarly, if you have questions following this webinar, feel free to reach out to us directly.
Yeah, so Laura, just be sure to check out, I'm not too sure what your status is if you're admitted or just, a prospective student, but check out the admissions homepage. I believe the link, it's under the admissions page, and it's something like Visit Us or Meet Us, something along those lines, and it's got all the information of our on-campus events as well as how to register for them. So you could do a little mix of maybe getting a tour on that Monday as well as meeting individually with one of the department advisors. So Leah is asking, you mentioned a close relationship with the CDC and WHO. Is it possible for first-year students to get involved with these organizations, or is that more of a second-year practicum option? I'm seeing lots of heads nodding.
No, it's not. It's not. I think right from the first year, if you are a domestic student, you can get to work with the CDC, the Care Center, a lot of organizations in Atlanta here. You just have to apply for it, and once you kind of like you go for interviews, and then if you get picked, hooray! You get to work with them, get all the experience that you need, make the connections that you want, and then you move on. Yeah.
I would also say if you're a domestic student, you may want to apply early enough. So if you're starting in August, if you're starting school in August, you may just want to apply, say, from May onwards and figure out what jobs are available in CDC, because the processing time takes at least 3 to 4 months, even for domestic students. So please keep that in mind when you apply.
And I'll also say, as admitted students, you guys, if you are an admitted student and then confirm and put your deposit down, our students get access to the job board in early August, like Shreya was saying. So you'll get access to that about 3 weeks before classes start, so you can kind of start applying for positions. Positions that are part of the REAL program as well as outside of that are all posted there. But what we like to remind students is you don't have to have anything lined up by the time school starts. That's not required by any means. It's not even the norm. A lot of our students actually really secure these opportunities once they're here and have started kind of making connections with their advisors, with their faculty members, and have been able to kind of do the all-dreaded networking. But it is very important to do.
Yeah, and I would also like to add that the faculty here, they constantly have some or the other project or researches going on. Get in touch with someone that aligns with your interests. So, and email them, keep bugging people you want to work with, and you will find something.
And our faculty are really responsive.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're easy to reach out to, I would say. Okay, Nicole was asking, she's got 2 questions. First, are there any current students in the dual degree physician assistant and global health program? I don't know that.
Yes, there are. We've got 2 students who are in the physician assistant MPH program. So yes, the answer to that is yes.
And then second question, what kind of experience in public health do you have to have before going to Rollins?
Yeah, well, in the Global Health Department, I sit on the admissions committee, so I can speak to that one. This is Teresa. We are really looking for students that have 2 things, basically. You have to demonstrate to us through your application that you have a passion to do this type of work and that you have the aptitude to do it successfully. That's what we're looking for. So to demonstrate passion, it is most helpful if you've had some work that is relative. Okay, so maybe you haven't worked in a low resource country, but maybe you've worked with refugees here within the United States. You've worked with a disadvantaged population. We want to know that you know what this work looks like and you're cut out to do it. So anything, whether you've done mission work, maybe you did AmeriCorps or Peace Corps, maybe you did some summers abroad, if you speak a second language, all of those things speak to your passion to do this type of work. And then as far as your aptitude, we're really looking for students hopefully that have scored in the 60th percentile on all 3 subjects in the GRE. It's not going to keep you out if you haven't scored in that 60th percentile, but on average, those that we accept are in the 60th percentile. And as far as prerequisites, we don't have any prerequisite courses for the department, but since biostatistics is such an important one in a public health career, we do like to see that you've taken calculus or statistics as a part of your undergraduate curriculum. And if you'd like to speak directly with me or Flavia Travin about admissions, we're happy to talk to you. We take calls from students all the time that are in the process of admitting, and are interested in how to, make their application more marketable, more competitive. So feel free to reach out to us on that one.
And also just one more, since Nicole brought up the dual degree program, we didn't really touch on that at all, and I just want to make sure everybody's kind of clear on what that means and what that is. So here at Rollins, we offer about 9 or 10 dual degree programs. Basically, if there's another professional program or master's program offered at Emory, you can pair it up with an MPH. And so we have students doing everything from MD, MPH, JD, physician assistant, MSN for nursing, a couple in theology. We have a couple of theology programs that.
Master of Development Practice.
Yeah, and that one, which not even terribly familiar with that one. Physical therapy. It really runs a really wide range. To be a dual degree student in this type of program, you have to apply to both schools completely separately. So you have to apply to the med school and get in, and us and get in. You have to apply to the law school. You have to apply to the business school. There's no dual degree application. You apply to both schools separately, and if you are accepted into both programs, you can then be a dual degree student. And each one has a little bit of a different track in terms of when you would do your MPH side of that. So it shaves off a year of the MPH program. So you really need to kind of think about which one is your real, like is law your real passion and you really just kind of want to do some MPH classes, or is your MPH your real passion and you just want a few law classes? Because your the focus when you're doing a dual degree is MPH is usually the secondary form of that. It cuts off a year of our program. So really kind of have a good idea going into that of what you're looking for and what you're wanting to get out of it. But it's a great way, if you know those are both career tracks you're looking for, it's a great way to save time and more importantly, money. All right, Mariama is asking, what drew you guys to Rollins?
Sorry, what's the question?
What drew you to Rollins? Why did you select to come to Rollins?
I can answer that.
You all can answer that.
So something, well, I had lived in Atlanta previously and I was just returning from the Peace Corps. So that was one draw, the location, of course, but adding to the fact that it's in Atlanta are the other like NGOs that are here in Atlanta and the CDC. So we're literally, like, we could look out the window and look at the CDC right now. American Cancer Society is not far from here. CARE is not far from here at all. The Carter Center is very close. We have Clarkston, the refugee resettlement community, not far from here. So all of these are focused on global health in general. And then apart from that, there are a lot of faculty here working on maternal and child nutrition, despite that there's not the fact that there's not a lot of MPH students working on maternal and child nutrition. So I knew that I would, sort of the ratio would be in my favor to get as many advisors as I wanted. So I have 2. And then there's also a PhD program in nutrition here where there are PhD students that are able to mentor me as well in the field.
Yeah, this is Philip here. I think, I'm from Ghana, and I was kind of like, I had to do a lot of research in trying to get a school for my MPH. And I think at that time, I think Rollins was the 4th, best, public school in the whole United States. And I was like, wow. And then I think I went into it. The program was also very flexible, like a 2-year program where you get to do the practicum, you get to go to the field, practice what you learn in the class and all of that. Because I got into Hopkins and other schools, but Hopkins is kind of like 11 months, program, exam after exam. You don't get the time to kind of even breathe, get to practice what you kind of like learn in class. So when I put all those things together, I was like, I think Rollins is going to be a great pick for me. And also the weather in Atlanta here is not bad. It's very good for me. It doesn't snow here. I'm from Ghana and I'm from a tropical country. So I think it kind of like, it suits me well. And also the CDC, there's CARES, so there are a lot of opportunities around. And, so I think I came here and I never regretted coming here. And then if I were to choose again, I think I would choose Rollins. So, yeah.
So I was first introduced to Rollins, as a Peace Corps volunteer. One of my cohort, she did the Master's International Program, so she did her 2 years here at Rollins, and then she went to Peace Corps to serve. So I got to hear a lot of good things about Rollins there. I applied to here and Johns Hopkins, got into both, and then visited both, and really liked Rollins more because of the warmness of the professors. Like I connected with 6 professors while I was here for the 2 days of Visit Emory. And they're like, when you get here, let us know, send me an email, and we'll set something up. And they were in my research interest, like all 6 of them. And they were all very welcoming. So that's one of the things that tipped me over to Rollins, because it is an amazing community. And also there's a lot of funding opportunities for Practicum. So Teresa mentioned Jiffy with the student spotlight, but I was in the Emory Global Health Institute. So I had a multidisciplinary team that went to South Africa to work on this sex worker project. So it was a student from the business school, from the Laney school, so she was a PhD student, and myself. So got to do different perspectives of the same project, and that funding stream is $3,000 per individual. So that helped a lot with airfare over to the African continent, which is very expensive. So there's a lot of funding opportunities to fund whatever project you're trying to go for, whether it be Jiffy or Emory Global Health Institute. And there's always emails of like you could get $500 here, you could get $1,000 here to do different things. So that's one of the things that also tipped me over, because there was, as graduate students, we're not rich by any means. So any extra money helps.
All right, and then I've got another question here from Chilishe. She's asking about graduate school housing, specifically for international students, and just trying to figure out where they live, how they found housing, and what people, how people secure that.
Yeah, so I think I'm an international student, and with the housing, I think we have some groups on Facebook and all that, and we have Emory Housing and Rollins Housing. So we have a whole lot of facilities around here where you can get to stay. But the facilities around that walking distance to the campus are a bit expensive, and they are very competitive too, because I think most of the domestic students tend to go there. So if you're an international student and then you want to get to stay in a facility that is close to campus, you have to kind of be proactive and try to do some wiring, get money, some advance payment and all that. Or if you know somebody here who can help you in that regard, it's going to help you to get it. And then there are some other apartment buildings and all that. The farther you go from campus, the less expensive they become. They become very cheap for you to afford. So housing is not a problem over here.
Yeah, and I also wanted to add, say once you get here, probably a month or two may be a little difficult adjusting, but once you're here, you can later exchange places, find out more about as your social circle expands. So it's not that difficult.
And I'm from New York City, as I mentioned. I don't have a car, and I'm guessing most international students don't have cars either. So there is a great Emory shuttle system that goes to, I don't know the perimeter, how many miles outside, but it's very reliable. There's an app that you could follow that would, usually you could get from any apartment complex to Emory via that shuttle, and it's free. So that's a very good resource that Emory provides to students. And there's a lot of apartment buildings around like a 10-mile radius of Emory University. So there isn't lack of housing near Emory or the Rollins School of Public Health.
And also besides the shuttles, I feel Uber and Lyft have become really cheap. I stay about 10 miles from campus, and my trip cost me $3 one way, so which is better than owning a car.
And I would say a majority of our students too generally live in the 1 to 2 mile radius. There's plenty of housing around the city of Atlanta, but I would say the majority probably live relatively close, within walking distance, biking distance, shuttle distance. And it's not uncommon for our students to not have cars. All right, so we've got a question from Kingsley. What have been your major challenges or challenges so far?
For me, as an international student, I feel just understanding the other perspective, because with the accent, I had major issues. I wouldn't understand. I had a blank face. Okay, is that person happy, sad, or what is he or she trying to express himself? So for me, that was the biggest challenge, and I'm improving on that.
Yeah, I think also my biggest challenge was the food, because when I came here, I think, and I remember, when we had this meeting and there was like, oh, there's going to be lunch provided. I was looking for something heavy, and then I went to the table and there was this box. I picked the box and then I opened the leaves and then there's some small bread. I was like, oh my gosh. So I think I had to get used because, from where I'm coming, like, heavy food and all that. But I think I'm getting used to it. I'm getting to know where I could get now to get to buy Ghanaian foods, and we have a lot of international markets around, and all that. So I think now I'm enjoying, life is good. Yeah.
One of my biggest challenges was sitting in a classroom again after taking a few years off. That was pretty tough, especially for those hour and 50-minute classes. But now I really love school again, so challenge overcome.
And also for me, I would like to add, I feel the system I came from and this is hugely different. It's completely different. So selecting your own classes, which one might interest you, might not. That was a big challenge for me. So that's why I think Teresa has been very helpful. I would meet with her. I didn't know what classes to take and what to do because I wanted to take everything. All classes are so interesting. So that was another challenge.
Okay, so it looks like that's it for all the questions that we've received. We're going to take this opportunity to go around and just see if Teresa or anybody has any last minute things that they'd like to add before we sign off.
Yeah, one thing we didn't talk about today is kind of student life and organizations on campus, and that's such a rich part of students' experiences. So I wonder if those of you who have had experiences with student organizations and student life might to add to this conversation.
So I was the co-events and outreach coordinator for the health organization for Latin America. So I did my Peace Corps service in Peru, so I grew to love the Latin culture and everything about it. I'm fluent in Spanish, so I really draw to that organization. So most of the organizations, they put on events, so we call it lunch and learn. So they usually provide lunch and have someone who's an expert in a certain either disease or like some kind of programming in Atlanta or abroad. So when the Zika epidemic was happening, and it was targeting Brazil, Puerto Rico, Colombia, those Latin American countries. We brought in an expert from CDC to talk about what CDC is doing to mitigate that epidemic. So most of the organizations on campus do stuff like that, put on events, put on social events, networking events, since we are close to all these organizations. And all these organizations like CDC usually have like a Latin American working group or a Black professionals working group. So these organizations team up with them to provide mentoring to Rollins students. So that's one of the benefits of being a part of a Rollins organization.
Also, I wanted to add, I think there was a question what I regret or what I missed. So I wish I would know more about student organizations like SORT. What is the full form? I don't know, it's a response.
Student Outreach and Response Team.
Yeah, I wish I would know more about it. And when I found out they do incredible work, also about the CHE certificate. So I just feel so don't close your doors immediately when you come. No, I don't want to get into this. Attend the sessions and figure out and, don't block your ears. Just come with an open mind.
And during Visit Emory, we have a student org fair where our student organizations will exhibit to talk about what they do. And then we also have pretty much that same exact fair at New Student Orientation because we know not all of you that come to Visit Emory or that end up coming to the university are able to attend Visit Emory. So you'll have plenty of opportunities to learn about the student orgs and figure out which ones may be a good fit for you. Then let's see, so Miriam is saying, thank you so much guys for this webinar. It was very informative. It makes me want to attend Rollins even more. Well, that is excellent. Mission achieved. And then Anada, I'm so sorry if I'm totally butchering your name, and I know we've been emailing previously, so I'm glad to see you on the webinar today. You're asking, are international students eligible to be considered for merit-based scholarships? Both international and domestic students are eligible for scholarships if they got their application, are eligible for our merit-based scholarships if you got your application in by the January 5th priority deadline. All students that got their application in by that time frame are being considered for merit-based awards. Keep in mind that those merit-based award notifications go out mid to late February. So even if you've gotten your acceptance notice, even if you have already received your acceptance notice, that doesn't mean that we haven't made those merit-based award announcements or decisions yet. So those will come later on. Kingsley is saying, thank you guys. I think Rollins is for me. So do we, Kingsley. We think it's for you too. Okay, any of our students have any parting wise words?
Rollins is amazing. As Philip said, if given a chance, yes, I would just be here.
Come to visit Emory. I did not come, but I have been to one since, of course, attending student orgs, and I really wish I had. It is a blast. It's like a big party during which you learn tons about Rollins.
Yeah, we will give you all the information. One of our academic advisors likes to say that when you attend Visit Emory, you're going to leave thinking either, wow, this place is for me, or these people are absolutely crazy. One or the other. Or maybe it's both, that they are crazy and you want to be part of it. That's the hope. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We were happy to have you, and reach out as needed if you have any other questions.